Mobile Task Force Kappa 42, Angel reporting in. Okay, you guys, you were pretty intent on me covering this next. I'm not really sure why exactly. But before I get started on the project itself, I would like to say something a little bit personal. If you are not interested in my guidance and or advice, you are not obligated to take it. However, I have survived more of these projects than any other SCP member that is still alive or able to be contacted today. I am literally the only remaining member of the highest ranking Special Mobile Task Force in the organization. But again, you're not obliged to heed my words of wisdom. And yes, 95% of you will be shot in the face if you don't take my advice. 4% of you will be shot in the face even if you do take my advice. And 1% of you will be just fine. Don't be the 99%. But I digress. This particular project is nothing terrifying like 682 or anything, but I probably wouldn't want to wake up in the middle of the night to it sitting in the corner of my bedroom. Item number SCP-096. Object class Youkilis. I wouldn't personally classify this thing as a Euclid, but who cares what I think anymore. Special containment procedures of 096 are that it's to be contained in its cell, a 5 meter by 5 meter by 5 meter airtight steel cube at all times. Weekly checks for any cracks or holes are mandatory. There is to be absolutely no video surveillance or optical tools of any kind inside 096's cell. Security personnel will use pre-installed pressure sensors and laser detectors to ensure 096's presence inside the cell. Any and all photos, video, or recordings of 096 likeness are strictly forbidden without approval from Dr. and 05. The picture used in the video is artwork that I found floating around the internet. It's actually pretty accurate. Yay loopholes. Description. 096 is a humanoid creature measuring approximately 2.38 meters in height. Subject shows very little muscle mass, with preliminary analysis of the body mass suggesting malnutrition. Arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of the subject's body, with an approximate length of 1.5 meters each. Skin is mostly devoid of pigmentation, with no sign of any body hair. 096's jaw can open up to 4 times the norm of an average human. Other facial features remain similar to an average human, with the exception of the eyes, which are also devoid of pigmentation. It is not yet known whether 096 is blind or not. It shows no signs of any higher brain functions and is not considered to be sapient. 096 is normally extremely docile, with pressure sensors inside its cell indicating it spends most of its day pacing by the eastern wall. However, when someone views 096's face, whether it be directly, via video recording, or even a photograph, it will enter a stage of considerable emotional distress. 096 will cover its face with its hands and begin screaming, crying, and babbling incoherently in an unrecognizable language. Approximately 1 to 2 minutes after the first viewing, 096 will begin running to the person who viewed its face. This point on, they will be referred to as 096-1. Documented speeds have varied from 35 kilometers per hour to kilometers per hour, and seems to depend on the distance from 096-1. At this point, no known material or method can impede 096's progress. The actual position of 096-1 does not seem to affect 096's response. It seems to have an innate sense of 096-1's location. Note, this reaction does not occur when viewing artistic depictions. Upon arriving at 096-1's location, 096 will proceed to kill and 096-1. 100% of cases have left no traces of 096-1. 096 will then sit down for several minutes before regaining its composure and becoming docile once again. It will then attempt to make its way back to its natural habitat, which has been confirmed as the mountains. Due to the possibility of a mass chain reaction, including breach of Foundation security and large civilian loss of life, retrieval of the subject should be considered alpha priority. Doctor has also petitioned for immediate termination of 096. Termination order has been approved and is to be carried out by Dr. The following is an audio log of me and my former partner, now missing in action, Dr. and myself, discussing my encounter with 096. Yeah, it always sucks to get into initial retrieval duty. You have no idea what the thing is capable of besides what jacked up information the field techies can scrape up. And you're lucky if they even tell you the whole story. They told us to bag and tag. Didn't tell us jack about not looking at the bloody thing.
Could you describe to me the mission, please?
Yeah, sorry. We had 2 choppers, one with my team and one on backup with Zulu 9-B and Dr. We spotted the target about 2 clicks north of our northern path. I'm guessing he wasn't facing our direction, else he would have taken us out then and there.
Your report says SCP-096 didn't react to the cold? It was negative 90 degrees Celsius.
Actually, it was negative. And yes, it was butt naked, and it didn't do so much as shiver. Anyway, we landed, approached the target, and Corporal got ready to bag it. That's when Dr. called. I turned to answer it, and that's what saved me. The target must have turned, and my whole squad saw it.
That's when SCP-096 entered an agitated emotional state?
Yep. Sorry. Got the willies for a second.
That's alright.
Yeah, well, I never saw its face. My squad did, and they paid for it at the...
Could you describe it a little more, please?
Yeah. It started screaming at us and crying. Not animal roaring, though. Sounded exactly like a person. Really freaking creepy. We started firing when it picked up Corporal and ripped off his leg. Good lord, he was screaming for our help. Anyway, we were blowing chunks out of the thing, round after round. Didn't do jack. I almost lost it when it started. Him.
That's when you ordered the use of an AT-4 HEDT launcher?
An anti-tank gun. Started carrying it ever since SCP got loose. I've seen those things tear through tanks like tissue paper. Did the same thing to the target.
There was significant damage to SCP-096?
It didn't even flinch. It kept tearing apart my squad, but with half of its torso gone.
But it was taking damage?
If it was, it certainly wasn't showing it. It must have lost all of its organs, all of its blood, but it didn't even acknowledge it. Its bone structure wasn't hurt at all, though. It kept tearing my squad apart.
So no actual structural damage. How many rounds would you say were fired at SCP-096?
At the least, 1,000. Our door gunner kept his GAU-19 on it for at least 20 seconds. 20 whole seconds. That's 650 caliber rounds pumped into that thing. Might as well have been spitting at it.
This is when Zulu 9-B arrived?
Yeah, and my squad was gone. Zulu 9-B managed to get the bag over its head and it just sat down. We got it in the chopper and got it here. I don't know how I never saw its face. Maybe God thought I should live or something.
We obtained an artist's depiction of SCP-096's face. Would you like to view it?
You know, after hearing that thing's screams and the screams of all of my men, I don't think I want to put a face to what I heard. No, thank you.
Alright. I believe we're done. Thank you, Captain. Let this be on record that I'm formally requesting SCP-096 be terminated as soon as possible.
So, yeah. That was one of my first missions leading our team out into a tag and bag. Didn't go well. I lost a lot of good friends that day. Well, that's all I've got. Stay safe, stay alert, and remember, don't look at its face.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is